we're going to move on. Thank you very much, Frank. We're going to move on to, I had a couple of folks email saying, Andy, show me how some different behavioral checklists work. And then, do you need to keep using them throughout the engagement? So I'm going to show you two examples. I'm currently coaching a guy named Chester Elton, and let me do a share screen. And what's interesting with this behavioral sheet that I'm using is that I'm actually using it. I'm doing it on Google Docs. So can everyone see my screen?
You got to get out of gallery view to see it.
All right, can people see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, now I've created these folders. So these are the daily behavioral check sheets that Chester does. And here's what one looks like, okay? He's got two goals. One is improving communication. The other is improving collaboration. So the beauty of doing a share doc is that he just logs on, and if you can see, you can type right in it. So he just logs on and he does this, and there's no need to print this out and to scan it and to send it to me as a PDF. That's more work. Chester loves this because he can go right to the document and just log on and he's done. And I can look at this at any time. So it's a way of doing it live. And all of my future coaching engagements, I'm going to do this because it just saves time. So now I wanted to show you another one. Let me shrink this screen out. And this one is, I think it might be this one. Is it this one? Yeah. So this is one that I've used with Marjorie. And I think these are the bread and butter of the whole coaching process. If you get it down to specific behaviors, and they do these every week, it ensures results. So let's take a look at this. She had a key goal, which is over here, is to not act on strong emotions. And this is all from her stakeholders. Talk to us in a calmer, less sarcastic tone. Step back from frustrated, just think. Begin each meeting every day with a personal greeting. How are people doing? How did your night go? Stuff like that. End each day with a good night to people as they leave the factory floor. Actually, it was one of our stakeholders said, say good night to us and just say, have a good day or have a good evening. And then give genuine praise to employees when they do something positive. So here's the question, and this is the $1 million one. Anytime you put anything on this list, can you see it? Can I actually see you doing it? And if I can see them doing it, it's a behavior. If you can't see them doing it, you might have some problems, especially when it comes to the mini survey, because it's not an observable behavior. So here are two different actions of daily behavioral checklists. And I think it's part of the magic sauce, and it's just a wonderful way to make sure that people do what that they say they're going to do. So let me end the screen share here, if I can figure that out. Let me move this little box here. Okay, stop share. Any thoughts or questions about that? I mean, let me know. You can ask it now or put it in the chat room. The other thing, yeah, go ahead, Phil.
No, just going to say, if you scratch out Marjorie's name, would you be willing to send that example to me?
Sure, absolutely. If you could send me an email as a reminder, that would be great.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I've had some leaders that don't want to do the checklist, like, Andy, I don't want to do this. Do I have to do this? This is just a pain. So, that's the question. Do you have them do this every week or not? So Frank, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. You've had over 100 engagements, and I think you started using the checklist a couple years ago or 5 years ago. What are your thoughts on, do you make leaders do it or not, or for how long?
Well, again, see, this is something that's really a combination of a coach's style and the leader that you're working with in terms of what they need from you. I'm, I think, more flexible than some. I know some of our coaches, it's a requirement, right? Doing the daily checklist. I'm not quite to that extent. I'll give you a couple of examples. One example was a very senior leader in a large oil company. And this guy was, about 69 years old. He was in his last year before retiring. And I suggested very early on, the daily checklist for his goal. And he said, no, Frank, not interested in doing it. And I'm sitting there to myself saying, well, that was rather abrupt. And as I'm thinking about it, he gave a nice period of time for me to reflect, quiet time. And then he said, look, Frank, I drive an hour and a half to work every day. I drive an hour and a half home every day. That's 3 hours in the car. I'll think about this. So I said, that's great. And so he did not do a daily checklist. Now, at the 6-month mark, this was going through my mind. I was going to let him we did no daily checklist with this guy. At 6 months, I was very anxious to see his results on his mini survey. If the results on his mini survey were not so, if he was unhappy with the results of his mini survey, I was going to bring up, how about a daily checklist for the second half, right? Guess what? Scores were excellent. He never did a daily checklist.
Really?
I had another guy in Silicon Valley, Indian, from India, but didn't look like your average Indian. He almost looked like his parents had come to the United States, and he looked Indian, very dark skin, but tall, very tall, 6'2", good looking guy, marketing guy, one of these marketing gurus. And I brought up the daily checklist with him, and he said, no. Just like this old guy. He said, no. And I'm sitting there again thinking like, well, what do I say to this guy? And he says, look, Frank, I'm not going to do, I just know myself. I'm not going to do that every day. There's no way I'll do that every day. I'll do it twice a week. I mean, I was thinking he was going to go for 0, right? I'm not going to do it. He says, how about twice a week? I said, done. So he did it twice a week. Guess what? He also got better. Now, the other question is I don't think I've ever had anybody stick with the discipline for a whole year, with a full action plan, turn into a daily checklist and do it. I haven't had that yet. At some point in times, I think it's not needed anymore. But I'll tell you, the other thing I do when I see people starting to peter out is I'll say, let's have our behavior of the week. In other words, if you've got 5 or 6 items on your daily checklist, you don't do all 6 items every day. In a particular week, let's pick one of your items and you only do it for the one item. Right? So it's somewhat if it's go ahead, Phil.
No, I was going to say that with one client, really the very first stakeholder-centered client that I've had, knowing that he's constantly under, putting out fires and stuff, but yet he needed to help with the discipline. What I did with him is said, look, let's try this for 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Just to build the habit and build the momentum. And then we'll look at that point if we still need to do this.
And how did it go?
Well, we're in the middle of it. Like
okay.
3.
Oh, so you haven't even gotten to that 6-week mark with him.
Right.
Yeah. See, that's a great way to do it. It's not telling someone commit now to do this thing for a year. It's a trial period.
Right. So Phil, I've had a couple of coaching engagements where I've told, the leaders that I'd like you to do this for the first 3 to 4 months. And then if you want to keep doing it, great, but at least for the first couple of months, I'd like for you to go through it. And I haven't had anyone, like Frank said, that says, no, I don't want to happen. So I think it's really good to get them in the habit of doing it for the first 2, 3, 4 months and then leave it up to them if they want to continue doing it. For some folks, I think it's essential if they're really busy and hectic. Did I do
right.
these things today? So I think it's on a case-by-case situation.